you won't be the first, Professor. Mr. Green and Colonel Mustard have accused me so many times that they might as well put a big bright red A on my chest for accused. A scarlet letter. I thought you were smarter than them.
I'm not in a place to accuse anyone. I don't know who murdered that man, and I want this solved as badly as you do. I'm just not skilled at solving mysteries. I'm only a professor. And the one thing we professors are very skilled in is research. But the answer always lies in the library.
Oh,
Voila!
that's so smart! Oh, one of these books has to be about the man lying in the foyer.
If only it were that easy.
Well, I'll find a book on murder. Where is the M section?
It was for music.
You jest.
It's the Library of Congress cataloging system. It may seem strange, but we academics are quite used to it.
Well, then I'll try K for killing.
K is law.
Wouldn't law be under L?
No, because L is for education.
And not E.
E is for history.
But that starts with an H.
H is for social science.
Which isn't under S because...
S is for agriculture.
Well, of course. That makes so much sense. No wonder professors have to be so smart. So what are we going to do?
Well, what I'm doing research. Before I decide what I need to learn, I like to reaffirm what I already know. So, with that being said, what do we already know about the victim?
He's dead.
Stop.
He was murdered.
More work?
He was murdered by... That's all I've got.
That's all I have to.
We are never going to figure this out!
Wait. Let's see if we can narrow this down a little. How was he murdered?
We know it wasn't the rope because there were no rope marks.
And we know it wasn't the revolver because there were no bullet holes.
And so we know it wasn't the candlestick because there were gaping knife wounds in his back.
The knife. Excellent work.
You're getting the hang of this detective thing. You know, when I was younger, I used to love detective fiction, but as I got older, those stories just never seemed so practical, so I moved on to other hobbies, like not reading. If only I could go back in time and tell my child himself that one day you will be in a mansion full of strangers with a dead body lying in the foyer. You wish you had learned more from the boxcar children.
Scarlet, no time to reminisce. Let's keep pushing forward. We're so close. We've already got the how. Now, we need the where. The who.
Well, I don't know if this is important.
Out! My dear is always better said.
Well, I remember there were white marks on the victim's jacket.
White marks.
Powder marks on his left arm. Now, what could those be?
I'm sorry. I didn't catch that.
New answer!
I'm sorry. I will connect you with the next available representative.
I guess justice will just have to wait.
Miss Scarlett, dare I say I am utterly blown away by your sleuthing abilities. Forgive me if I'm being a bit forward, but after you report made and we get out of this death mansion, would you like to join me in the world of academia? It's a cutthroat world, publish or perish. But with your tenacity, I think you could turn that scarlet A into an A for adjunct professor. This much about detective work from silly detective fiction. Imagine how far you could go when we read real books from a real academic library.
What did you say?
Sorry, I wasn't listening to myself. I just go to professor mode where I talk and talk.
No, you mentioned that I learned from detective novels.
That sounds like something I could say.
Oh my goodness, everything is so clear now. I know who killed the man lying in the foyer.
We've already established it was Miss White.
No, but it was you, Professor Plum, in the library with the knife.
Okay. I definitely didn't say that.
You didn't have to. Everything I know I learned from detective novels, and the first thing they teach you in those books is the murderer always returns to the scene of the crime.
The scene of the crime is the billiard room. Remember the chalk on the elbow? You tune yourself out when you speak. You are going to make a fantastic professor!
The billiard room isn't the only place one could expect to find chalk. How about in the pockets of an old school professor? Maybe next time you'll remember to change out of your work clothes before murdering someone.
So what, if I always carry a piece of chalk with me? It's so much easier to explain my theorems to stupid people. Doesn't mean I stabbed that man lying in the foyer. This is uncalled for. Now would I have murdered him? Look around, there's no blood. If I murdered our man in the library, where's the blood?
In the nonfiction section, deep in the stacks, you knew that a non-academic would never, ever look in the nonfiction section. And then you murdered that man.
Like, this is all very cute, Miss Scarlett. Yes, I'm here, and yes, we are physically in the library, but that's as far as it goes. If I did commit this atrocity as you insist, where's the knife? Where is it? How could I stab him without a knife? I've been told my witch is sharp, but not that sharp. Exactly. So what's wrong with that? You aren't cut out to be an adjunct professor. Now, you'll excuse me, I am on my way to accuse the maid of murder. I hate to blame it on the help, but them's the breaks.
I have it. When we first got here, the first thing you told me is the answer always lies in the library. Like you, the victim was an academic. It's why he cataloged these books in this weird, nonsensical system. And an academic would never just hide something haphazardly, no. You murdered him with the knife. And then you filed it. Where is the M section? Wait, the S section.
S for stabby, stab, stab.
No. For agriculture. If one wanted to find a book about knives, he could look at military science or technology et tu, brute. But no, you are an academic, and the worst thing that could happen is if the knife were found, right? Wrong. You
of academia. It's publish or perish, and that's how Richard meant to publish. Too bad no one will believe me. It's my word versus yours, and I have lots of words. I've written books, many books. You've barely colored books, scar children. I am an esteemed professor with tenure, and you are a gold-digging little hussy despite away from me completely irrelevant and undesirable. So what are you going to do? Waste your time and accuse me? You'll be shouting to the wind. Or you can be smart. Keep your little theory to yourself. And accept my offer. Being an adjunct professor isn't that awful. Maybe tenure. Eventually. So what's it going to be, Scarlett?
Hello, this is Janet. Thank you for your patience. Can you provide some details about the murder you're reporting?